Hi there.
Good day.
So nice to speak with you today, Bashar. Um, what are Kachinas?
Kachinas are an expression of an interdimensional type or expression of consciousness that, from our perspective, you could say inhabits the borders between different dimensions, which is its own dimension. But they are the in-betweeners.
Okay.
They are a different type of consciousness. The American Indians dealt with them primarily in a variety of ways. They are representative of understanding the structure of your reality as it interfaces with other realities. Since they are the in-between expression of consciousness, they are the interface between one reality and another. But that is its own reality.
I see. Because in January, you had recommended also working with them. They were
Yes.
coming around, and I had been getting curious, and I was like, looking them up. And so, and you were asking me if I was going into a nature space soon, and I am, where I do tend to get Native American spirits, and I get like initiations and transmissions from them.
Yes.
So,
Now, they are also a very specific part of the collective archetypal consciousness of your entire planet as well.
I see.
And they can represent a link or a bridge between the physical and the higher mind in a very particular way. But they represent something bigger than that, too.
Okay. And any suggestions on permission slips on how to work with them, or should I just go into meditation and see what happens?
Remember that whatever you're attracted to use, you're attracted to because it will work for you. That's what the attraction means. So find the permission slips that you're attracted to use, and that's all you need to do. And when it stops being attractive, use something else.
Okay.
Does that help?
It does. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are so welcome.
Yeah, so much love and gratitude to you and your people. Thank you.
Our unconditional love to all of you as well. Good day.
Good day.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Um,
Yes.
so, you once said, when you learn to do more with less, you can do less and get more. I was wondering if you can expand on that.
Well, isn't it obvious?
Yeah, but just, you don't have to.
Well, in other words, asking us to expand on it is not doing less and getting more. Because you're asking for more instead of less.
Oh, okay. Yes.
The idea really, again, is becoming more efficient, in a sense, allowing things to flow through you in a more efficient way so that the actions you take feel less and less and less like you're actually expending any effort at all. That's what we're saying. You feel like you are doing less, but you see the reflection of more happening because you're doing it more efficiently, more in alignment with the superconductive nature of the energy that's flowing through you. Whereas, if you feel like you're doing more, then there may be resistance there that is beyond the natural way in which you need to express yourself, because you're doing more but getting less because you're not being efficient with the energy. So it's not that you actually are really doing less physiologically, but you're doing it in a way, although you might be, but you're doing it in a way that feels like you're not really doing anything, and yet you are doing more because you're using the energy more efficiently. You're being more aware of the greater reflection that even the tiniest change will make in the experience of your life. That's what we mean by doing less and getting more, is you're becoming more of yourself, which reveals more of yourself, but the way you become more of yourself is not by struggling, is not by resisting. In a sense, it's by surrendering to who you truly are. And that, in a sense, translates as doing less. It doesn't mean you actually just sit and do nothing.
Yes. Good day.
Hello Bashar, it's Timo from Finland on the Arctic Circle. I have experienced hundreds of times sleep paralysis, flying dreams, And also I have been many times conscious of out-of-body experience. So I would like to know, what does that mean? And have you got reading how many times I have been experienced those? And I have 2 days from this live stream, I have my birthday, so if you and your civilization can send me happy birthday, I would love that. Thank you.
Happy birthday. We'll do that first. The idea of what you call sleep paralysis can happen for a number of different reasons, based on not only what you mentioned in terms of out-of-body projection, because if you're shifting yourself to another dimensional realm, your body can no longer move in the same way that you're used to moving it, and so that can be experienced as a kind of freezing or immobilization of the physical form, while the idea of the energy component, the consciousness component, goes on or expands beyond the idea of its physical experience. However, it also can be something that happens when you are shifted by encounters with different extraterrestrial beings into a slightly altered reality in order to experience certain encounters, because again, it's similar to the idea of shifting your vibration from what you typically refer to as physical reality to perhaps another variation of it. And so, therefore, in being shifted, you are also being immobilized to make sure that you're shifted to the reality that is preferred, so you don't go shooting off into the cosmos. And also because, again, the immobilization may be necessary or simply a side effect or a result of the fact that you think you're trying to move in the same reality, but because you're not in the same reality, you have to learn to move differently, and therefore feel that effect of not being able to move in your typical reality as a paralysis. The flying can be representative of the fact that you know you are now moving through an astral realm or out of body, as you say. It can also be representative of some encounters with the idea of being on a spaceship. But again, it will depend on that particular moment. You'd have to take it on a moment-by-moment basis. In terms of the number of encounters that you've had, it appears that you've had at least 13 in your life that are responsible for that experience for that reason. In terms of the idea of out-of-body projections, it seems that you may have had well over 50, at least as far as we can read your energy. You may not remember them all because it may not be necessary to remember them all.
This is Riho from Estonia. I have a question about energy readings. How is it possible that you sense someone's energy who you barely know and channel completely detailed information about their personal life? Please describe this process. And
we don't have to know them on a personal level to be able to read the language of the energy that we perceive when the interaction takes place. There are literally patterns of energy that we perceive that you're made out of, and sort of similar to the idea of someone who's sensitive to reading like tarot cards or something else. Certain patterns stand out in terms of their color, their shape, whether they're in the beginning or the front or the back, in certain ways that actually is representative of an energy language. And it's the energy language of the personality that we're actually perceiving and responding to. So the different symbols that we see, that we perceive in that exchange tells us what we need to know and what we need to say. We're responding to energy patterns of your consciousness. And therefore it's representative of different aspects of your personality, different aspects of your journey, different aspects of your experiences are all translated into symbols in that energy language, and that's what we're reading.
how can we train this for ourselves, and do we experience it already actually? Thank you, all my love to Aveyo. Hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
By following the formula, because again, remember, as you act on your passion, the very first step of the formula is designed to raise your frequency, because that's what happens when you act on your passion. And when you raise your frequency, you become a more sensitive receiver to higher frequency dimensional information. And therefore you start perceiving things, and your senses start being more capable of perceiving things on a higher frequency level, which
Good day, Bashar. You have shared that the effects of 5G could be negated by using the harmonics of the Schumann resonance. Yet you also share that depending on what beliefs you have, we can also override negative effects. My question is there an amount of power needed behind those beliefs to override the negative effects? And second question is, how does power relate to placebo? Thank you.
It's almost identical. The idea is the amount of power necessary is directly proportional to the depth of the belief, the strength of the knowing. Many people on your planet, at this point in their evolution, at this point in their process, may wish to believe that they can override things with their beliefs that are physical, but most of them actually don't really believe they can. And that's why we often say, here's a physical alternative that makes more sense to your physical mind, that would actually represent a path of least resistance to you at this moment in your belief structure. Because even though you may be on your way to being able to negate certain ideas just with a belief, most of you don't actually believe you can do that. And therefore, what you do believe in terms of the physical effects that you're used to, that you're familiar with, can be used to your advantage by simply treating them as an equal alternative instead of thinking that there's something less. The placebo effect proves this point by understanding that as long as you believe that something physical is actually occurring, then it's all right for that to happen. And even though you're only using your belief in it to make it happen, it's a belief that you're using something physical to do so. And that's the paradox. And that's why we say sometimes the idea of a physical pattern or a physical approach can be equally as powerful as the idea that you can negate something or change something with just a belief. So the placebo effect is the perfect balance demonstration between those two ideas, because we are the bees that create the honey from the pollen of different flowers and bring you the honey as a gift.
Hello Bashar and hello Dylan. I am Cornelia from Lithuania. So I found interesting information about ancient Earth history. I would like to know your point of view about it before the Anu came to Earth, where was growing giant trees which were made of crystal type material like silica. They were as large as 10 kilometers or even larger. One of the examples is Devil Tower in USA, which now looks like giant tree trunk. So please, can you elaborate on that? It is true, if it is true.
It is not a giant tree trunk. There were no trees of that height on your planet. Devil's Tower is the solid core of an ancient volcano, the lava that has solidified, and the rest of the volcano erosion. Many people that think that those things represent tree trunks are mistaken.
Hi Bashar, this is Tom from England. Can we experience our grander self or higher self before we die? Thank you. Haatu.
You can certainly become your best version of it in physical terms. Yes, the idea is to become a person that is a true balance of the physical and higher mind while you are still physical as best as you possibly can be. And that is what is meant by the higher frequency of physical reality that you call fourth density. You become a physical version, in a sense, as a physical personality of the higher mind as best as you can express it in physical terms. So yes, but being the higher mind when you leave physical reality is slightly different, because there are certain things that are relevant for the spirit world that are not necessarily relevant for the physical world, and vice versa. But you can become your version of that blending, of that balance, of that relationship, certainly while you are physical. Absolutely.
Hey Bashar, good day. I greet you in the love and light of one infinite creator. So my question for today is there a specific frequency that can help us manifest faster, like 528 Hz, which can we put earphone and listen while visualizing or manifesting our desire? Thank you. Have a good day.
440 would be more effective.
Hi Bashar, Atu. I have a question about sleeping. So, as we know, you don't sleep anymore. So I want to ask about how can we evolve towards sleeping less in the sense that why do we need sleep? And can you describe the steps how to evolve towards sleeping less in the sense that how to experience those things that we need to experience in the sleep state, in the awakened state, and also why do some people need so much sleep? Aveyo, thank you. Goodbye.
The basic idea of sleep is that you have to, again, remember that physical reality isn't real, but you're expending a lot of focus and a lot of energy pretending that it is. Therefore, you need to recharge now and then. You need to reconnect to your natural state in spirit now and then, which is what sleep is for, because you are attempting to maintain an illusion for a long period of time. And therefore, you are recharging, in a sense, your batteries when you sleep. It doesn't take very much, but each of you has your own natural biological cycle. And again, this comes down to following the formula, because when you follow the formula and act on your passion in the way we have described, you will find your natural biological cycle. You will be able to connect to energy more directly rather than having to get your conscious mind out of the way to do so. As you become more lucid in the physical dream, you will connect to energy more directly and not have to check out, as you say, as often. But this goes hand in hand with finding your natural biological cycle by acting on your passion and living your life according to your natural format, which will eventually train you into understanding, so to speak, how much sleep you still need and how much you don't. And when you get into the so-called pattern of finding more of a natural cycle, over time, you will probably sleep less and less. Now, different people sleep less or more for, again, a variety of different reasons. People may be processing certain things more easily when they sleep in their dream state than they believe they can do in their physical awake state. And so, again, it will depend upon the person and what you are going through as a process at that moment that may determine temporarily why you are sleeping more or less. So it's a combination of things. But the fundamental idea is that as long as you are generating a concept of the illusion of physical reality, you will need to recharge your batteries in order to continue to do so for any period of time. But following your passion, following the formula, will allow you to balance that timing out in a way that will allow you to sleep when you truly need to and be awake when you truly need to in a more natural way. And eventually, over time, maybe not even in your generation, but over time, you will evolve to the point where you're constantly dreaming and constantly awake and constantly lucid and connecting into the energy of spirit in the way that you need to, so that you don't actually have to go through the actual act of sleeping in the way that you do now anymore, because you will always be dreaming and always be awake.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have lots of great questions from our viewers.
All right. Please proceed.
All right. Can you comment on the recent video that was released of the pyramid-shaped UFO films, UFOs?
What we will say at this time, simply again, is this is another phase, another step in the understanding of the beginning of disclosure, where certain authoritative institutions are now willing to release the information, to validate the information. One must still be aware that there may be other purposes they have in mind for the reason for releasing this information. So one must be aware that there are agendas behind some of this, even though the information and the recordings are authentic. They may have other reasons for doing so. So all we would simply suggest is that you all remember that no matter what is said to you, as disclosure continues to unfold, that we are here to assist you, that we are here to support you, and that we love you unconditionally. And allow yourself to remain balanced and in your center with regard to your understanding of the vibration that is necessary for true open contact to occur.
Okay, thank you. How can we steer clear of the path of the grays? If the world is splitting and many people are going down that path, how do we know if we are still on the path that the grays took or we're on a different path?
Some will remain on the path that will be similar to what the grays chose to experience, but others will allow themselves to go a different path. This again is the reason why we share with you the information that we do, and in particular, the idea of the formula of acting on your passion. Because when you do follow the formula as precisely as you can, you raise your frequency. And when you raise your frequency, as we have said many times, you make yourself a better receiver, a better antenna for higher frequency information, communication, contact, and inspiration. And that alone will navigate you in the direction that is different